You're watching the 2026 Big 12 Baseball Tournament presented by Allstate on ESPN. For the first time, Big 12 Baseball heads out west. It's game one of this year's event from Surprise, Arizona and Surprise Stadium. It's the Texas Tech Red Raiders taking on the BYU Cougars. It's game one of 11 on the week. One of two games today. The next game will feature Utah and Kansas State. Baylor and TCU await the winners of each of these matchups. But for the second straight year, BYU will help lead off the Big 12 tournament, trying for another upset win like they had last year against Arizona State. Alongside Alex Coyle, I'm Kyle Yeomans. And Alex, lots of excitement around this year's tournament. First time in Arizona, but lots of excitement in this game one because of the runs that we could see put up. Don't be fooled by the 12 seed Texas Tech. They have one of the best offenses in the country. Plus, BYU can keep tabs as well.
Yeah, BYU can indeed, and especially with the guy that has been dropped down into their three-hole. Ezra McNaughton, over the last 6 games since going into that 3 spot after he was a mainstay of the 2-hole all year, he was fantastic. Hit .417 at the slugging percentage, just under 800 in that span, because 5 of his 10 hits went for extra bases. In single elimination games like this, you need an ignition for the engine. He is that for BYU. On the Texas Tech side, Logan Hughes, we know about his power. He led the Big 12 in home runs a season ago. This season, he nearly matched that total as well. Just the second Texas Tech player in their history to reach 20 career home runs in the Big 12. And a guy that had 7 RBIs against BYU a couple of weeks ago. He's a mainstay, as you mentioned, in one of the best lineups in college baseball.
They were tops in the Big 12 in average on-base percentage, hits per game, and doubles. Nearly 12 hits per game themselves. And it's not just Logan Hughes that you have to worry about. It's really everybody 1 through 9.
Kyler Thompson up at the top as well. The center fielder has been fantastic. Second in D1 in the batting average, led the Big 12, and just an offense that is so consistent. And if they get any amount of pitching to back that up, they're not a team that you want to face in a 1-game elimination scenario.
And this lineup will go up against a relative unknown for BYU on the bump to start for 4th-year head coach Trent Pratt. He trots out Blade Paragas, the right-hander, with just 3 innings of work this season. Dealt with some injuries early on. He's a redshirt freshman that spent all of last year on IR, and now he's off of IR the last couple of weeks. He's pitched well in his limited action.
Yeah, a guy that's dealt with Tommy John and some flexure issues, so just now starting his collegiate career, but a really good fastball. Can rank it up at 96, 4+ off speeds as well. They love the curveball especially. He can add slider, cutter, and change.
Paragas, the redshirt freshman himself, with just his 3rd start of the year, did have a limited action last week against Utah Valley, where he went 2 innings of scoreless ball and a nice outing on the midweek side of things. Let's take a look at the BYU Cougars defense, and a team that finished at 27-27 overall, 14 wins in conference play.
Yeah, a team that led the Big 12 in double plays turned, and even 50 of those in their 54-game regular season play. Going to have to be big again against a Texas Tech team that puts the ball in play a ton, especially with the wind blowing out.
It's the 18th all-time meeting between Texas Tech and BYU. These two teams met earlier in the month, May 7th through the 9th. Texas Tech took 2 of 3 from the Cougars out in Lubbock. Paragas on the hill, out of the windup, delivers a first pitch inside for a called strike. 88 degrees and partly cloudy here in Surprise, Arizona, a tournament that has traditionally taken place either in Oklahoma City or in the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex, making the jump out west to Surprise, Arizona. And they've been greeted with some incredible weather. Ground ball right side of the infield. Had to go a little bit of wades to get there, but it's Anderson that makes the play to retire Thompson for the first down.
And immediately showcasing some of that good defense, especially up the middle, testing the range, having to sprint over to his left, even a little pirouette before the throw, footwork there to get the first down. It's always a good first test, especially when you're a pitcher, to know your defense is immediately engaged up the middle on balls on the ground.
This is a BYU team that did struggle at times in terms of the pitching staff. They finished 12th in the Big 12 with a 6.25 ERA as a staff. But as we mentioned, Paragas was unavailable, and they've had some pitchers out due to injury. Both of these teams can say that themselves. Slow chopper on a swinging bunt to the right-hand side. It does roll foul. Tracer Lopez hitting in the 2 spot for Texas Tech, led by Tim Tadlock in his 14th season with the Red Raiders. Hit his 500th win last time out against Cincinnati, and their last win against the Bearcats in a doubleheader to finish the regular season. Tracer Lopez has been one of the emotional leaders for this Texas Tech squad throughout his career. 217 games played, which ranks 3rd all-time in Red Raider baseball history. Takes inside to make it 2 balls and 1 strike. Thompson, Lopez, Schaus, and Hughes. First 4 in the batting order, all hitting above the 350 mark this season.
Such a fearless Texas Tech lineup that looks to attack early in counts. Get on in front of that power threat, and Logan Hughes due up 4th.
And a quality at bat for Tracer Lopez. First base runner of the tournament is on. That's what this Texas Tech squad can do from the dish. They are patient consistently. They're not necessarily the best power numbers, 8th in triples, 8th in homers this season. However, they do work deep into counts, and they will stretch the pitcher of an arm as an outing goes on.
Yeah, it's as much of a lineup that knows its role as any in this Big 12. They know who they have to get on for, and those guys have driven them in, and it starts with the guy at the plate.
Connor Schaus stepping in, hitting that 360 mark. Georgia product in his sophomore season. Named All Big 12 first team. 10 homers and 66 runs batted in on the year has been fantastic. A lot of times, if he's in the designated hitter spot, as he is today, you will also see him out of the bullpen. Tim Tadlock has utilized him as of late in a pitching variety, so since he's in that DH spot, anticipate him to be on the bump at some point today.
And in a run where they want to win 5 games in 5 days, you're going to have to use almost everybody on that pitching staff.
Paragas, just his 3rd outing, starting an elimination game for BYU. What do you feel like is going through his head right now, as he has so much inexperience, but has the stuff, especially as we talked to Coach Pratt?
Yeah, and look, it's going to speed up on him, especially with so many things against a lineup that puts the ball in play as often as Texas Tech does, and is just simply a pest on the base paths. But as Coach Pratt mentioned to us about a half hour before the game, we have a plan that we've executed against Texas Tech a couple of times. They held them to 2 runs and 3 runs in a game in their series a couple of weeks ago. They just have to attack that and execute it.
This one driven into center field, ranging over is Wolfgram, and he tracks it down in the alleyway. Retreating back to first was Lopez. Lopez worked a good distance from the base path just to try and maybe see if that fell. He could stretch it into a 1st to 3rd situation, but Wolfgram really covers a lot of ground at center.
Big league spring training ballpark. It's going to be deep fences, especially here in the Cactus League. You have deep power alleys, so outfielders are going to have to cover a lot of ground. But it's outs like that early that can help a pitcher settle in. Oh my gosh, I allowed something to get laced and loud sound off the bat. Oh, it's an out. I have a defense behind me. See how he goes back and attacks after.
Yeah, 350 down the lines here at Surprise Stadium. It's the spring training facility for both the Texas Rangers and the Kansas City Royals. One of the top spring training facilities in all of Major League Baseball. 400 to straightaway center, 379 to each of the alleyways, as you pointed out a moment ago. This one's fouled away. Quickly 0-2 to Logan Hughes. The wind is blowing out at the moment, straight out to left field. As the flags in right center tell us that, about 10 miles per hour on a beautiful afternoon here in Arizona. One on, 2 down. 0-2 to Hughes. Drops low.
BYU has to love that they got ahead of him with 2 quick strikes on fastballs. Not the highest velocity, at least compared to the scouting report from Paragas so far. But now let's see if he can locate some of the off speed.
Tried to work one outside. Good frame by Erickson behind the dish. Ridge Erickson, one of 2 catchers that the Cougars do rotate between. Both he and Parker Goff have seen significant time through the meat of conference play. Quick pickoff move over to first, back safely is Lopez.
He's shown that changeup twice in a similar spot. Last time he located it perfectly, but especially against an offhanded batter, changeups from righties are usually that out pitch. Let's see if he triples up.
Another breaking ball drops low. Hughes does a nice job to lay off. Mentioned him in the open. Hughes actually with a better batting clip this season with 2 outs than he does overall, which is saying something. He's hitting .372 overall, but .412 with 2 outs. Won't add to the batting average, but he'll keep the inning alive. As the full count pitch misses outside for ball 4.
And that's why pro scouts love the left-handed bat that he provides. It's a professional plate appearance. He spits on 3 straight changeups, including a couple that very easily could have been swung and missed on, and able to work that walk, keep the line moving, and now put pressure on BYU with a chance to strike first in the first.
Lincoln Garcia stepping in. Takes a first pitch strike. He started ahead in these counts, Paragas has. However, he's worked a count to 3 balls in 3 of the first 4 hitters so far. Texas Tech doing a good job of making the right-hander work early. This one's fouled off quickly, 0-2.
If all things went perfectly for BYU, it would be a 3-inning stint from Paragas, and exit with a lead, of course, would be great, but 3 innings max out of him. And then you get further and further into that bullpen that has struggled at times this season. So a big pitch count number in inning 1 only helps Texas Tech as the game goes on.
Garcia with a slicing fly ball into right field. And it is handled by the Cougars defense to retire the side. Texas Tech puts a couple on. Nothing going for the Red Raiders in their first half. On to the bottom of the first inning here from Surprise Stadium in Surprise, Arizona. First look at the BYU Cougars batting lineup. Luke Anderson, extremely experienced, but this is overall a young lineup for Trent Pratt.
Yeah, one of my favorite things every time I see and do a BYU game is just the names that are in that lineup. Crew McChesney, Ezra McNaughton, Tualau Wolfgram as well, getting a start out in center field. But what they bring in their names, they also bring with ability at the dish. They look to strike first against Johnny Lowe on the mound for Texas Tech.
We mentioned Ezra McNaughton. He's one of 4 sophomores in this lineup. Only 2 seniors, Anderson and Jones, the only 2 seniors for BYU. They will go up against the right-hander, Johnny Lowe. Lowe 4-1 on the year, 4.67 ERA, 36 strikeouts, 9 walks. Opponents hitting 265 against the Rockwall, Texas native. You'll see a fastball, curveball, cutter, slider, changeup. That mix utilized pretty well, and he can run the fastball up to about 94, right?
Yeah, he's been really good in spots, options out of the bullpen. Made just one start in Big 12 play. His ERA was about a run higher in conference play than what you see on the screen for his entire season. But a good strikeout guy, and just he simply throws strikes. Just 9 walks in 34 2/3 innings pitched.
Started his career at Tyler Junior College after playing his high school ball at Rockwall Heath High School, and went to Cisco Community College before arriving at Texas Tech. He'll have this defense behind him, and the Red Raiders, a team that also can turn the double play. They were up toward the top of the league in doing so in the regular season. They have some power bats, but this is where they've struggled, is allowing teams to put together some big innings.
Yeah, just a 970 fielding percentage. That's much lower than you want. You want it right around the 986 is usually what big league average is. But look, in these type of games, any little thing could lose you a baseball game. You have to be so fine on the small, good, fundamental pieces of baseball to survive, especially from a 5-game spot in the tournament.
First pitch was a called strike to Crew McChesney. McChesney hitting 321 and out of the leadoff spot for the majority of the BYU campaign. Plays in that left field spot for the Cougars. Infield already shaded a bit to the right for Texas Tech. Johnny Lowe, his last time out was against Cincinnati in that regular season finale series against the Bearcats. Went an inning and a third, allowed 1 run. It was earned as there's a worm burner to the right side of the infield, backhanded by Lopez for the first out. But that's really what this Texas Tech team wants to do. They want to allow the defense to work, keep the ball down, and if they can do that, they feel confident their bats can catch up with the BYU pitching staff.
Yeah, very similar to what I said in the top half, right? Like you have to get some quick innings in there. You can't think about winning 5 games in 5 days when you've just started the first, but things compound, especially as this game goes on with both teams in a theoretical bullpen spot.
Texas Tech dead last in the Big 12 in terms of ERA as a team, 7.67. Also last in opponents' batting average, as opponents were hitting .310 against them. Lowe does get ahead of Anderson here at 0-2. They did pitch well against BYU in the first game of the series against the Cougars back on May 7th. It was a 2-1 final score. However, after that, BYU put up 12 runs in game 2 and 11 runs in game 3. However, you have BYU losing that final game 15-11, a high-scoring affair in the rubber match.
And I think 15-11 is more what we expect to see from those two teams going at it.
Hard hit ground ball. Diving up the middle, Lopez makes the first flashy defensive play we've seen in the tournament.
And it's energizing stuff, right? First game of the tournament, somebody's got to set the tone. I mentioned it with Ezra McNaughton. Something has to ignite the engine to survive a tournament like this in single elimination. Best part of that play, how quickly he got up and in an athletic position to throw a strike to first base.
Texas Tech coaching staff labeling Lopez as the heart and soul of the Red Raiders. You can even see that with Villeneuve at first base with the fist pump after the fact. You can tell he brings the energy entirely, and Texas Tech trying to feed off of that here in the opening frame.
A lot of times you think the starting pitcher, or you hear about the starting pitcher being that tone setter. To get a play from your second baseman in the first, set that tone, feels nice.
Here's Ezra McNaughton, who fouls that pitch off. 1-1 the count against Lowe. Highlighted McNaughton in the open for a reason. All Big 12 second team honoree, as those honors and selections were announced this morning by the league. Top 10 in the Big 12 at doubles, total bases, hits, at bats. he'll be tabbed to trying to extend the inning with 2 down here in the bottom of the first. Is an Arizona native out of Mesa. So he gets to come home a little bit. BYU and Utah, who plays in the second game today, with plenty of Arizona products scattered throughout their roster. A couple for Big 12, or excuse me, for Texas Tech as well in Big 12 play. I was even talking with some of their staff yesterday, and there were players saying they've played on the fields that are back behind Surprise Stadium during their prospect days. This works inside, nearly hits McNaughton.
And I think that's one of the cool things, especially with the Arizona schools now in the conference. It opens up an extra recruiting base for these teams. Very rich prep baseball here, and the flip side for the mountain schools and Arizona schools to get to recruit Texas full time.
Doughton calls time prior to the full count pitch. Looks like the elbow guard worked loose for the left-handed bat. Now he's ready to go. Payoff pitch. Misses low, and the first base runner on for BYU.
It's really interesting to see both lineups using their patience to set a tone offensively and finding a way to work counts, get deep, see everything that a starting pitcher can offer. And both guys we highlight in the lineup, the most professional bats in each lineup, doing that. And that sets a trickle-down effect down the lineup, too.
3 base runners that we've seen, 2 for Texas Tech, 1 for BYU. All have been with a base on balls. Both teams looking for their first hit, and BYU is looking no longer. First pitch opposite field goes Ryder Robinson. And now the Cougars have runners on first and second with 2 down.
That's when Ryder Robinson is at his best. Yes, he did find a way to bop 10 home runs this season, but such a solid bat in the lineup because he can go the opposite way, take what's pitched. It was a 91-mile-an-hour fastball just off the outer edge of the plate, and he takes it that way. And sets up BYU in a similar opportunity that Texas Tech had, 2 guys on with 2 outs.
It's another one of the seniors in the lineup. And Easton Jones batting from the right-handed side. Crowds the plate, takes the first pitch for a strike. Jones hitting in the 5 spot, but he's one of the top RBI leaders on this BYU squad. Second to just McNaughton with 41 runs batted in. He hits 283 with runners on base. 261 with runners in scoring position as well. First RBI opportunity of the day for the Cougars. Low out of the stretch. Both of these pitchers, Paragas, who threw 21 pitches in the first inning for BYU, and now Johnny Lowe, who's closing in on 20 himself, have worked deep into counts, but they continue to get ahead of hitters. The 1-2. It's been closing these hitters that's been tough, but as long as you're not giving up hits or runs, I think both of these coaching staffs will be okay with.
Yeah, he's been no stranger to flipping in a big curveball, and I think that fastball, he would have liked it a little closer to the strike zone, but went up, can set up a pitch like that low and away.
Here's the 2-2. Also works on.
He tried to, he just kind of slipped out of his fingers a little bit, didn't finish the pitch, and now the runners will get a head start. That's kind of the margin, though, versus weekend starter and midweek starter / reliever. Refined secondary stuff.
3-2, big swing and a miss. Jones, the first strikeout victim of the day for Johnny Lowe, and he leaves a pair stranded. Both teams might leave runners at first and second, but we're scoreless through one in Surprise, Arizona. Texas Tech 27-27 on the regular season. They barely squeaked in as the 12 seed. It got a little dicey down the stretch for Tim Tadlock and company, but ended up taking a game against the top 25 Cincinnati squad in the final weekend of the regular season, and that's what they needed to secure the 12th spot. And they feel like, as anybody does in this tournament, they've got a shot as long as they can pitch and keep the runs off the board.
Well, yeah, that 500th win for the head coach was the one that got them in this tournament, also with the loss from Arizona on that weekend. But BYU is no stranger to understanding what a 12 seed can do coming into a game, and not to take them lightly. And as you know, a close game, later and later it gets, then the higher seed starts to get the one that tenses up, and the low seed's like, all right, we got a chance to pull off an upset. So this sets up a really interesting matchup of two hungry teams, especially with how they changed up the seeding, changed up the bracket a little bit this year. And I think that it favors the higher seeded team a little bit as we get deeper, and rightfully so. Makes the regular season matter a little bit more.
Really, every team that is in the first 4 games of the tournament, the 2 games today, BYU, Texas Tech, then Utah and Kansas State. The 2 teams tomorrow, TCU and Baylor, all of them need to win at least a couple of games, maybe the tournament, to really find their way into the NCAA postseason, as Ferraro works a 5-pitch walk. But if you've got the teams at the top of the list, like the Kansas, the West Virginia, Oklahoma State, Cincinnati, UCF, all those squads that have had phenomenal seasons, at-large bids most likely headed their way, it's tough for these teams to try and work their way into the tournament because they've got to win the whole thing.
Yeah, and it starts with game 1. It starts with an early, taking an extra base, an early diving play like what we saw in the bottom half of the first inning. And just one thing to go your way to start that run that we've seen can be magical in these. Look, baseball in a single elimination type tournament, literally any team can win it.
Quintanar takes inside. All of a sudden, Texas Tech trying to put together a phenomenal inning with the back half of their lineup. Had the leadoff man on with the 5-pitch walk, and then Quintanar, who's had a phenomenal season, rips this one down the right side, but foul. He's sitting in the 7th spot, but he doesn't have traditional 7-spot numbers. 323, 6 homers, 45 RBIs. Then you've got Robin Villeneuve behind him, 343 with 10 homers, 41 RBIs. This is how Texas Tech puts together their crooked numbers in the box score.
And they have no easy out in a lineup. Those top 8 guys all hitting .320 or better. That's why they had the best batting average in the Big 12.
Reaches out for this one. Chance at 2 for BYU. 5, 4, 3. And just like that, the threat is neutralized. Bases empty with 2 down.
I mean, that's just what BYU does. They had 50 of them turned, almost 1 per game this season. And you think the pitchers don't know that? Let me just get a ball on the ground and I can work and erase a leadoff mistake. And easy turn once it's fielded at third by Jones.
How about Paragas letting the defense work? Has walked 3 separate hitters in these first 2 innings, but has kept the ball playable for the most part. A couple of flyouts in the first, and now 2 groundouts. One to start the game to Thompson, and then the 5-4-3 for Matt Quintanar. So just like that, now Villeneuve at the dish with nobody on. And back to the windup goes Paragas. Gets a big swing and a miss to even the count at 1-1.
That was a slider that you can tell is what Coach Pratt mentioned when he said he has a lot of arm talent. Haven't seen that great velocity of the fastball just yet in this outing, but that was a pretty dang good slider.
Chopper sent foul. 2 strikes now on Villeneuve.
It's clearly the book on him. 3 straight of those sliders, almost the identical spot. And now if you can be fine on an edge, clean hitting, face the minimum, and start to roll, find your groove.
Got him swinging in the dirt, picked up by Erickson, makes the easy throw to first. Leadoff man on, no problem for the redshirt freshman in just his 3rd appearance of the year. We're scoreless through 1.5 in the opening game of the Big 12 tournament.
The main obstacle has been the same throughout my life, is you're not big enough, you're not fast enough, you're not strong enough. And so just kind of having that chip on my shoulder of like, all right, head first down some ice, that's the way we're gonna go. Working with KRT Athletic Muscle Cream has helped me improve every aspect of my physicality. So being able to have my muscle, my joints, and my tendons healthy, not cramp up, and be ready to achieve the extra reps, because those extra reps are what's gonna make the difference between a medal and a non-medal.
Hell of a good.
Seriously? No hell of a good dip?
Whoa, creamy. A double dip. Where's Jill?
Hell of a good.
It's not a party without hell of a good.
Hell of a good.
Hello?
We truly are a different league.
They have done it. A top 4 seed in the college football playoff. The Horned Frogs leap their way to the College Cup. Bear down. Omaha bound. Let's take cover. Can you believe it? Put that on the highlight reel. National champions.
We visited the Texas Tech season summary in the last inning. Here's a look at Trent Pratt's squad. They were picked 13 of 14 in the preseason poll. Finishing 9th doesn't sound like a ton of improvement, but they've had steady improvement since joining the Big 12.
Yeah, they had really good seasons before joining the Big 12, and there was a wonder of how they would fit into this league, but he has done such a good job of managing this program through the transition and adding 3 wins in conference every single year. And again, they were the last team in last year's tournament, surprised some people with an upset in game 1, and now they're a single-digit seed in the tournament, looking for a deeper run.
A team that has doubled their win total in conference play in just the last 2 seasons. Their first year in the league, 2024, they finished with 7 wins. Upped it to 10 last year and now 14 here in 2026. They were able to win some conference series this year, including 4 of them against good competition too. Cincinnati, Oklahoma State, and Arizona. They took all 3 of those series. Then they swept Houston 3-0. Houston, one of the 2 teams, them and Arizona, who did not make the trip to Surprise as the 13th and 14th teams in the league. This one's hit hard. Line drive into the alleyway. Could be extra bases for Bryker Hertzman. Hertzman makes the big turnaround first. He'll slide in safely with a leadoff double.
That's such a beautiful part of especially the college baseball game. And I mentioned it earlier. Someone needs to take an extra base. Someone needs to make a diving play to get you over the hump and give you a margin for error in an elimination game. And he's just sniffing two straight out of the box, a guy with good speed. Now a leadoff runner in scoring position, and BYU can strike first in this ball game.
So now it's the lefty Matt Hansen with a runner in scoring position. Both teams left 2 runners stranded in their first inning of work. Texas Tech still looking for their first hit as a team, but BYU now with 2 after the single by Robinson in the first inning, and now the double from Hertzman. Hansen out of Colorado Springs, one of 3 straight sophomores to round out the BYU order in the 7, 8, and 9 spots. Low delivers a strike.
I just love hitting in altitude. I don't think I've ever met a hitter that doesn't like to do that when the ball flies. Growing up in Colorado Springs, playing in Provo, and a little bit of a different effect here in Arizona and in the Valley, but ball does fly here too.
You've called a lot of games out here in Surprise. Why does it fly the different way?
Well, this is the second highest elevation market in Major League Baseball, so there is a little bit of that, but also how thin the air is, and then the wind blowing out, of course, helps too.
This is a ballpark that traditionally does play big at different times, like we talked about earlier. 350 down the line, that's no slouch. Then 400 to straightaway center. But with the wind blowing out, that can drastically change things. Hitters count to Hansen. Offered up at it, fouls it off.
And that's one of the differences that we'll see in this Big 12 tournament as opposed to the last handful of years over at Globe Life Park. There's no second deck here, right? There's just the press level and a couple of suites. So once you get it above that, that wind is howling on every baseball in the air.
A half-hearted swing. This one works away, but a foul ball called. Excuse me, they're going to say that hit off of Hansen as he was running out of the box. It ricochets away from Quintanar behind the plate, and so Hertzman has to go back to second. Let's take a look at it.
Yeah, I mean, this is just such a nasty curveball. He swings at it when it hits him in the back foot. Takes back foot breaking ball literally there, gets the swing and miss, and that's by far the best secondary offering we've seen so far from Lowe. Big strikeout to get that first out with the runner in scoring position.
Second strikeout so far by Johnny Lowe. Lowe on the season has had a phenomenal strikeout to walk ratio. 36 strikeouts to just 9 walks entering the day. Of course, he's now up to 10 walks with the one that he had in the first inning. Wolfgram fouls it off. Saw 2 allow Wolfgram in the first inning, track down a fly ball in the left center field gap. Utah native. Wolfgram himself listed as just 5'10", 180. But the BYU coaching staff saying, don't let the size fool you. He's got a powerful bat and did hit it out of the yard 3 times this year. Took a hefty cut at another breaking ball. Low ahead again, 1-2. Hertzman at second. Wolfgram Drills this into left center field. That'll plate the first run for BYU. He's on the second base with an RBI double. 1-0 Cougars.
Lowe used that curveball to get the swing and miss for strike 3 against Hansen, but we did see him struggle with command of that pitch in the first inning. The propensity to hang that breaking ball, and all Wolfgram does is tomahawk this thing to the left center field power alley, trade spots with Herdsman. That's how BYU sets the tone in game 1.
11th double of the season for Wolfgram. Product out of Pleasant Grove, Utah. Puts BYU on the board first. Runner goes. Throw down from Quintar. Plenty of time. Got him by a full step at third base.
Yeah, Trent Pratt, I don't think happy with the idea of trying to take third at that opportunity, but it was a really good effort on the slide, but you mentioned it, just a great pop time from Quintar and a perfect throw to Garcia. All he has to do is hold that glove right on the edge of the base to get the tag, and giveth and taketh away a little bit from Wolfgram there out of that 8th spot.
Quintar, one of the best defensive catchers in the conference. Deep fly ball, playable though, just to the warning track as Hughes makes the grab to retire the side. BYU on the board first to allow Wolfgram with an RBI double as BYU up 1-0 through 2. On to the third inning. BYU with a little run support. Just one on the board. But they lead it 1-0 over Texas Tech. Opening game of the Big 12 tournament from Surprise, Arizona. Alongside Alex Coyle, I'm Kyle Yeomans. Third inning and closing in on the second time around the order for both of these squads. It's 9-1-2 due up for the Red Raiders, starting with Coleman Ryan. Blade Paragas, redshirt freshman, third appearance of the year. This one hit into center. In comes Wolfgram. It falls in front. It's the first hit of the day for the Texas Tech lineup.
I don't think anybody had the idea of Coleman Ryan providing the first base hit. He's the only guy that doesn't hit 320 or higher out of that 9 spot for Texas Tech, but he's going to be able to supply opportunity for the top of that order to answer the run from BYU. But on the BYU side, Paragas an opportunity to get through and perfect the plan that the Cougars had coming into game 1. Get through 3 innings with the lead, and then the bullpen will do the rest.
36 pitches to his total as well. I'm sure Coach Pratt wouldn't mind seeing him go a little bit deeper into this game if it works out in his favor. He continues to throw the ball well. The real test will be the second time through the order, though, for Texas Tech. Back to the top with Kyler Thompson.
Helped out by that double play last inning to add to the efficiency on his pitch count. He's been able to work around those 3 walks, though, which has been impressive.
Another lofted fly ball, almost the same spot. Wolfgram nearly got there, but it falls for a second straight base hit. Trying to stretch it into the double is Thompson. He will get in safely to second base with a double. Runners at second and third for the Red Raiders.
And if Anderson's just able to hold on to this baseball on the tag, Thompson comes off the base. He would have been out there. Big first out of the inning. Instead, he smacks it to the gap just enough in front of Wolfgram. Look at the effort there. Fantastic from the center fielder, just unable to make another great play. And now Texas Tech's offense with the meat of their lineup in massive business. BYU starting to get a left-hander loose in that bullpen. You got to think that that's lining up to come in and face Logan Hughes if he gets a chance in this inning.
Also hit well into center. Wolfgram now having to go back. Dives but can't get there. It's all the way to the wall. Lopez around first. He'll make a turn to third. Both runs come in to score. It's a bases clearing triple for Tracer Lopez, and Texas Tech takes the lead.
Second time through the order, they're starting to square up some baseballs, having seen him already, and that's where those long at-bats, those work the walk, see as much of the pitching arsenal as you can find. Then you know that, yeah, all right, I'm going to get a changeup right around my knees, and I'm going to golf this one to a deep part of the ballpark. Just out of the reach again of Wolfgram, and now Texas Tech, not only do they lead, they can add insurance with nobody out.
So now a quick meeting on the bump by BYU. Coaching staff wanted to talk it over. Adrian Dinkle out to have a chat with Paragas, who was solid up until this inning, but 3 straight hits. A single, double, now a triple, as the Red Raiders on the board with 2 runs here in the frame. The danger not done yet with Connor Schaus and Logan Hughes, the next 2 due up.
Already allowed 3 hits, and then you got to face these 2 guys.
Paragas spikes it in the dirt out in front of home plate.
With this being just the 3rd inning, it looks like BYU is just going to have the corners play in here. And anything hit up the middle, they'll take the out at first.
Chopper right side at third base, fielded in foul ground, long throw across the diamond, but Jones makes it look easy, and Lopez has to stay put at third.
Now that's perfect for what you want there. You're not playing everybody in. Let's just hope something gets hit right at a corner infielder. And that's even best case scenario, because that forces the runner at third, Lopez, to have to stay on the bag and go right immediately to it. Don't even have to look him back. Now the danger of Logan Hughes and a sacrifice chance. Simply getting the ball in the air or even on the ground with this pull shift gets another run home.
Now Hughes deposits one deep into the air right field. That one is gone. On top of the berm, Logan Hughes makes a statement in round 1.
Have we said that he has power? My goodness. That's onto the concourse behind that berm, and I mean, to see him get a hold of something like that and just destroy it. It was a sinker, middle in, exit velocity of 110. And then you can just admire this shot, shades and all. Watch that thing fly. A team cycle in this 3rd inning.
If it wasn't for the ground out to Schaus as the 4th batter in the inning, it would have happened in order. Single, double, triple, now the 2-run homer from Hughes. Hughes, who is no stranger to Big 12 homers. Led the Big 12 in total homers last year with 19, had the most in conference play with 11 as well, and then this year added 9 in conference play. Second player in Texas Tech program history to have 20 career homers in league play, alongside Josh Bard, who was a great for Texas Tech for quite some time. And Hughes adding his name to that list. A 4-run third already on the board for the Red Raiders, and just 1 out as the bases are empty now for Lincoln Garcia, who's up in the count 2-1. Offers up here, the count goes even. Yeah, with the way that Herdsman was trotting back to the warning track, had his glove shielding the sun, I think he was just trying to see where that one landed off the bat of Hughes as well. Hard hit ground ball, backhanded by Jones at third. Another long throw, got it in time for the second out.
Yeah, this is just one where he can turn on it, sees it on the inner half, and oh, that swing, just so pure.
Right,
that thing might have rolled out of here, right?
Yeah, right beneath the flags and maybe through the fence line. As it looks like the Cougars will make a change. Trent Pratt walking out to the bump. Takes the ball from the redshirt freshman. An honorable first couple of innings, but struggled here in the third. Sees his day come to a close. We'll introduce you to the new BYU arm when we return. BYU turns to the bullpen. They turn to Justice Reiser, the lefty out of South Jordan, Utah, who has spent some time both in the Thursday matchups. Remember, BYU doesn't play Friday, Saturday, Sunday traditionally. They go Thursday through Saturday, but he was starting some of those early matchups this season, but has mostly been an opener when he starts. They expect him to eat up some innings in long relief here.
Yeah, an opportunity to where he's going to have to throw strikes in order to do so. A little too inconsistent with that on the season, and he relies mostly on his secondary stuff. A changeup that he trusts against both sides, then a slider that is pretty effective in the strike zone. So look for him to be one of those lefties that just throws the kitchen sink at a lineup, but they're going to need some length out of him entering in this third.
Reiser, 14 appearances on the year. 6 of those have been starts. Has gone 30 innings and a third this season. Has struggled at times giving up the hits. Nearly 40 on the year over those 30 innings of work. But if he can really piece together a couple of innings here and right the ship a bit for BYU's pitching staff, he can go a bit of distance, and he's been pitching better as the season's gone on.
Yeah, and I think what BYU has to remind themselves is that, look, they trust their offense, but also, again, as you mentioned earlier, Texas Tech has an ERA just south of 8. So they're going to give up some runs, too. A 3-run game with this much time to play is plenty of time. You just got to get outs on the pitching side and play clean defense.
When you look at that as the case, this is a Texas Tech team that averages 7.5 earned runs allowed on the year. So you would anticipate 4 runs not being enough if you're Texas Tech. They want to keep their pedal to the metal. Chopper right side, misplayed by McNaughton. And it's into right field. Tough play on a hop that's tough to read right off the bat, but Ferraro is on.
Yeah, hard shot right at him too, 98 miles an hour off the bat. And on those short hops, it's really tough to stay in front of. You just got to buy in to take a bruise and field that baseball. And instead, he plays it off to the side, tries to pick it, and slightly olays it into right.
Box score counted it as a hit, as it should be. But a runner on with 2 down, and it's back to Matt Quintanar, excuse me, that grounded into a double play in his first at-bat, a 5-4-3 affair after Ferraro worked a leadoff walk to begin the second inning. Four runs on 5 hits now in the inning for Texas Tech. A team that can really swing the bat top to bottom, as they've hit for the team cycle and now started it over with a second single.
And in this inning, it started with an unsung hero, and Coleman Ryan to set that tone after they had no hits through the first 8. And then the 3 of the first 4 in the order were able to mash extra base hits to supply the runs.
Another one hit well down the left field line. It also goes to the wall. They'll wave the runner around third. In to score easily is Ferraro. It's 5-1 Texas Tech.
This is a tremendous job of pulling the hands in on a changeup and finds a way to get the barrel on a pitch that is right on the inside black of the plate. It's at 110 miles an hour, screaming past Jones, the third baseman, and solidly into left field. And it's all Texas Tech in this second, just continuing to pour it on. And these hits have not been cheap. They've been loud sounds off barrels of bats.
Mentioned how they've started the team cycle over again. How about another single followed by an immediate double? That means if Villeneuve is really wanting to keep it going, he's going to have to find his way to a triple here. Still 2 down in the inning. BYU can limit the damage with just 1 more putout, despite Texas Tech having a runner in scoring position again. And the Red Raiders are now 2 for 4 with runners on second or third. Villeneuve struck out in his first at-bat. First time now seeing Reiser as the lefty kicks and deals.
The more Texas Tech adds on in these middle innings, it allows them an opportunity with another game tomorrow against a fresh opponent to map their pitching staff to have their best stuff go tomorrow. Now they're not going to save any bullets until they feel like they solidly have something in the 7th, 8th, or 9th, but an opportunity to make it a lot more comfortable.
3-1 and a hefty swing on the inside breaking ball. Count goes full again. Villeneuve against the lefty in Reiser. Got him swinging again. Brings an inning to a close, but Texas Tech bats around, and it was the big blast from Logan Hughes that makes a statement as the Red Raiders put up 5 in the 3rd.
Some of the best power in the Big 12, and he just turns on that one, adds the energy to Texas Tech. Red Raiders lead in the 3rd.
Texas Tech puts up 5 runs on 6 hits in the 3rd inning alone. They lead it 5-1. So we go to the bottom half of the 3rd. They'll throw a new pitcher out on the hill as Johnny Lowe's day is done. It's Logan Addison on. We expected a bullpen day from Texas Tech to begin the tournament. And it's the freshman out of Texas at 6'1", 220 pounds that enters as the first man out of the bullpen. He's kind of been their de facto closer as of late. A little shocked that we're seeing him as the first arm out of the pen.
Yeah, what you want to do right now is after a big inning up top, a 0 in this inning just allows you to completely grasp any and all momentum. And for him, he has an ERA at 5.82, but it's been a little bit of tough luck against him. Batter's just hitting .234, but it's because he's allowed some loud contact. 4 home runs on the season. He also has hit a handful of guys as well. So look for him to try to pound the zone, find a way to get some softer contact against a BYU lineup that will see a new pitcher now the 2nd time through the order.
Yeah, it starts at the top as McChesney leads things off. 1, 2, and 3. McChesney followed by Anderson and McNaughton. Top 3 in the BYU order, now trailing by 4 after the Cougars struck first with an RBI double from Tualau Wolfgram in the 2nd. As we mentioned, BYU can put up some runs in their own right. They were top 6 in doubles, triples, and homers in the Big 12. Top half of the league in each of those statistical categories. This one popped in the air, possibly playable for Quintnar. Behind the dish, Garcia giving chase 2. Made a late adjustment and a basket-style catch. Wasn't pretty, but it looked good at the end.
Yeah, from this angle, it almost looked like he was more kind of shielding himself from a possible collision and just kind of snuck that glove out and snow cones this thing. Balls hit in the air with the high skies are so hard to read, especially if you're not used to playing out here in Arizona. And he makes a nice adjustment with the ball, as always, coming back to the field of play.
Lincoln Garcia, as a freshman, handled that cool, calm, and collected. Didn't even crack a smile. Might have been a little frustrated if it did hit the ground. Love to see what happens if he doesn't make the catch there. By this point in the year, you hear coaches say it all the time, though, these aren't just freshmen anymore.
Yeah.
He's been one of the top ones in the league. Check swing, peeled down the first. He went around, says first base umpire Jake Olin Hop. Nothing in 2 to Anderson. Olin Hop at first base. Christopher Griffith is calling balls and strikes. Mike Morris out at 2nd, and Casey Moser is down the 3rd base line. Our 4-man umpiring crew today. So this one's outside. Anderson. 2nd time at the plate after grounding out to 2nd in his first at-bat.
That was a nice diving play from Lopez up the middle. Robbed him of a base hit.
Barely gets a piece of this one to stay alive on the outside pitch from Addison.
It's 4 straight sliders now to start that plate appearance. And since coming in, of his 6 pitches, 5 of them have been the slide piece. And clearly something that he feels very comfortable with against the top of this BYU lineup. There are paths that coaches come into a game where it's like, okay, if we get this opportunity to start an inning against these 3 batters, this is the pitcher I want to face against them. This clearly was the lane, and adding 5 runs in the top half only made it that more imperative. Like, okay, this is a lane where we can truly get some separation. If we can get a 0 from this great matchup, might as well use it now.
Those shutdown innings so crucial. Texas Tech looking for one here. Anderson pops it foul again. Anderson, such a tough out at times on the year. 17th all-time in BYU games played, closing in on 200. now in his senior season. Would have to win a couple of times to reach that 200 mark. And he is taking Addison deep into the count here. Still at 1-2, but already working on pitch number 7 of the at-bat. Last time out for Anderson, he went 2/3 of an inning against Cincinnati. Allowed just 1 run. Didn't strike out any batters. Did walk 1 against the Bearcats. Hard hit ground ball, backhanded by the freshman Garcia. Took a little time to get it out of the glove, and it's bobbled on the hop by Villeneuve. Can't hold on. That was a tough stretch by the first baseman. So the throw goes wide, and Anderson is on with 1 out.
And just a couple of bobbles into a rush throw on that play. Anderson does run well as a middle infielder, but this one just our first tough mistake defensively. It's a great job to get it, and just rushes that throw on the side. And great effort there on the stretch. Just couldn't come through the baseball enough.
Yeah, he is so far out there for Villeneuve. Looked like he gloved it initially, but then as he kind of pulled the wrist back to him, the ball just slips out of the into the glove there. They do call it an error. First of the game for either side. Puts a runner on first, 1 out. As McNaughton gets his second opportunity. That one after a 7-pitch at bat by Anderson just to put the ball in play. McNaughton walked in his first at bat on a full count pitch against Johnny Lowe. Fouls off a couple, 0-2.
And with a 4-run lead, you could challenge McNaughton, and that's exactly what he's done with sinkers, similar spots. Brings it in at 95, and with that slider, it's a really good 2 offerings that can compound into a similar tunnel. Slider not necessarily a pitch you use though offhanded.
Hard hit ball into left. Playing back was Hughes. He has no chance to get underneath it. An error followed by a single, and just like that, BYU starting to brew something in the 3rd.
Yeah, just got too much of the plate with that fastball, showing it for the 3rd consecutive pitch to McNaughton. He's going to be able to make an adjustment on it, especially when you bring it down more into his bat path. Strokes it the opposite way, and BYU trying to answer back somehow.
Some quick conversation as Quintanar vacates behind the plate, talking to the right-hander on the hill. Addison did pitch against BYU in that May 7th matchup, the opener of the series against the Cougars. Went 2 innings of scoreless baseball in that one. Struck out 3, walked 2 against Coach Pratt's team. 2 on for Ryder Robinson. Singled in his first AB. Registered the first hit of the Big 12 tournament. Game 1 of 2 on the day. Utah and Kansas State to follow. And there's a called strike. 0-2 quickly to Robinson as well.
As we saw in the last at-bat from Robinson, though, another guy that's going to make adjustments and look the other way. He's a little pull happy on the ground at times, but on his base hits, he drives things to that left side.
Saw the balls to strikes comparison for Addison. He's been filling up the strike zone. Gets another here on the foul ball by Robinson. Only the 2 balls thrown out of 16 pitches. That's one way to fill it up out of the pen. And even with that, he still has a bit of a challenge by the BYU bats. Oh, 2 again. Off the end of the bat again. Robinson semifinalist for the Brooks Wallace Award by the College Baseball Foundation. It's presented to the nation's most outstanding shortstop by the CBF, the College Baseball Hall of Fame. He was named the Brooks Wallace National Player of the Week back in week 5. He turns on this one down the right field line. Ferraro giving chase. That will land fair. Into the corner it goes. One run across. They'll hold the second as BYU strikes back with an RBI double from Ryder Robinson.
Unbelievable that he's able to get to this baseball. It's a good 4, maybe 5 inches below the strike zone, but he just brings out, I don't know, the 7-8 iron, drives that thing down the right field line. This is a perfect way for BYU to answer. 2 more in scoring position, and that tying run is right at the plate for him.
Ferraro had a long way to go. Never had a chance to get to that ball. The only thing Texas Tech was hoping for there is, could it work foul? Wynn maybe pushing it a little bit, keeping it in play. Speaking of tying run on, how about the tying run being played and no sign by a home run? It looked like it hit the top of the fence. Either way, 2 runs across and a triple by Easton Jones. BYU wants it to be a homer. And we may have a conversation about it, but it's extra bases and 2 RBIs at least for Easton Jones.
Yeah, third base umpire Casey Moser took time to process that before waving safe. Hit that top of the wall out there in left center field. And now, I mean, this is how quickly games in a single elimination opportunity, games in college baseball again, against pitchers that are depth bullpen arms. So many ways that they can have ebbs and flows as we take a look at where this thing hit.
Wow. If it hits the top part of that fence, there's no yellow line. It looks like it hit the top of the fence and then ricocheted off of the second fence, the fan fence out there beyond the berm. Have to get some clarification from the Big 12 officials on whether or not that should count as a homer or not. I assume that that was not in play.
Yeah, it definitely bounces and ricochets back off that second highest bar next to the top of the 3.
It was well struck by Jones either way. Could have been a game-tying homer. Texas Tech not afraid of maybe taking some time to look at it. There's a look at that fence. Get some clarification up for you. First time this tournament's been out here in Surprise.
Have we asked the fence if it's okay? It just took a 110-mile-an-hour line drive.
I'm sure it'll rebound just like the ball did. So after Texas Tech put up 5 in the top half of the inning, BYU has responded with 3 and threatening for more. Tying run 90 feet away in a 5-4 ball game. Did think for a little bit there, Alex, that we were going to see some pitchers duel through the first 2 innings, just 1 run across, but this 3rd inning is more of what we expected out of these 2 teams in game 1. A half-hearted swing by Hertzman makes it 0-2.
A lot of loud sounds in this 3rd inning, and it's not just the fighter jets from nearby Luke Air Force Base.
It's having a flyby every 15 minutes is what it feels like. Good morning, good afternoon, good night for Hertzman. As Addison rebounds following the pitcher's mound visit. Let's take a look at the strikeout.
Yeah, it's a good job to go back to the bread and butter. Mentioned the sliders. It was 5 of the first 6 pitches of his appearance. All 3 in that plate appearance swinging sliders. The last 2 swinging and missing. And now an out away from preserving the lead, getting out of it with the 1-run advantage.
First strikeout victim for Addison. As Hansen steps in, he was a strikeout victim himself back in the 2nd inning. Not the shutdown frame that Texas Tech was hoping for by using Logan Addison in this spot. Pop fly, left side, playable, but in a tough spot. Into foul ground. Tracking it down is Hughes. And the inning comes to a close. Quite the rebound by BYU, putting up 3 runs in the inning. We'll talk to Trent Pratt as he heads back to that third base dugout when we return to one-run ball game in Game 1, the 2026 Big 12 Tournament.
Old Trapper Beefs. Pack Smash.
My peanut butter and jelly.
Ew.
Oh no. Yeah, I guess my ham and cheese didn't make it.
Old Trapper. What's your beef?
Now that's a great view.
Yep.
Join me as I take a deep dive into the least insulted ticketing app in history, SeatGeek. Did SeatGeek invent the ticket?
No, but we do make them work.
Drum roll, please. Ooh, how do I use the Seat View feature?
It shows seats with a pole blocking the view. Don't buy those.
What if I want to sit behind a pole?
Buy those.
Join me as I bore you to death with a series of interviews about a ticketing app that just does what it's supposed to do.
We truly are a different league.
They have done it. A top 4 seed in the college football playoff. The Horned Frogs leap their way to the College Cup. Bear down. Omaha bound. Take cover. Can you believe it? Put that on the highlight reel. National champions.
On to the 4th inning here in Game 1 of the Big 12 Tournament, presented by Allstate. Beautiful Surprise Stadium. Spring training home to the Texas Rangers and the Kansas City Royals. It's 5-4. Texas Tech on top of BYU. The 12th seed Red Raiders making an early move with 5 runs in the top half of the third. BYU answered with 3 in the home half. Texas Tech starting with the same 3 that they began that 5-run third. Coleman Ryan leads things off out of the 9 spot in the order, followed by Kyler Thompson and Tracer Lopez, 9, 1, and 2. They'll do so against Justice Reiser, who's on for his 2nd inning of work after entering in the 3rd. You mentioned it earlier, Alex. This Coleman Ryan in the 9 spot in the order was the hero to begin the inning. Chops this one to the third base side, and Easton Jones makes the play, 1 down.
Yeah, Easton Jones, really good third baseman. Got really long levers over there, but fields that perfectly. I think what BYU wants, of course, you want this every inning, but after what just happened in that third, a quick 1, 2, 3 to get your bats back up there.
First pitch swinging, high fly ball into left as Thompson gets well underneath it. Easy play for McChesney. And there's 2 down. Still working on talking to Coach Trent Pratt. Might have to do it in the next inning. BYU is on defense. It's Game 1 of the tournament for everybody, so we got to make sure that he's aware. Should have an opportunity to talk to Tim Tadlock, though. Had a chance to catch up with him yesterday during batting practice, and he echoed a sentiment that I think most teams in the tournament feel could be the case. This is anybody's tournament. Kansas wins the Big 12 regular season. First regular season conference championship since they were in the Big 8 back in 1949. Big season for the Jayhawks. They've really been the front runners throughout the campaign. But this is a league that can get 7 or 8 teams into the NCAA postseason, including some of the teams that play tomorrow. TCU and Baylor right there in terms of RPI, trying to work their way into the postseason. 3 up, 3 down inning for BYU. Quick ground out to second. We'll talk to Tim Tadlock when we come back. It's 5-4 Red Raiders through 3.5. Five to 4, Texas Tech on top of BYU. First round action of the 2026 Big 12 tournament, as we're now joined by the head coach of the Red Raiders, Tim Tadlock, in his 14th season. First off, Coach, congratulations on 500 wins during your last series there against Cincinnati. How big was it to get that 5-run inning in the third here in this one?
Yeah, I appreciate that. I mean, a lot of really good players, and a lot of good support as far as that 500 goes. As far as the 5 runs, I mean, this is definitely a lot like a midweek game, I think, for both of us, you know, just with the way we're trying to pitch the game. And, yeah, anytime you can have a big inning, it's going to help.
Logan Hughes has had another unbelievable season with that power. He showcased that back in the third inning. What makes him so effective at the plate?
He's got a lot of aggression. He's definitely an aggressive hitter. He's learning how to sit on pitches, learn how to sit on location. He's got enough path in his swing that he can look in the middle of the plate and do some damage. I mean, he can definitely go hunt the fastball and do some damage on something that's in the middle of the plate soft. And, that's really where it starts for him. And he's still evolving as a hitter, but I mean, probably first and foremost, he's just an aggressive kid that likes to hit.
Check swing, pop fly to second base, retires Wolf Graham as Ridge Erickson goes to the plate here. Talking with head coach Tim Tadlock. And coach, when you began your tenure with the Red Raiders, it was a much different Big 12 league, but it continues to evolve and add teams and add talent top to bottom. How does this year compare to some of the other years that you've been around the Big 12?
Yeah, I mean, the league's good top to bottom. I really think there was a lot of competition each weekend. I mean, there wasn't any gimmies. You know, I mean, the offenses are really good this year. And there were some good guys. I mean, obviously throwing on the weekend, and some good bullpen guys. I mean, there's a lot of coaches doing a really good job in this league.
And top to bottom, you guys are so deep offensively. Coming into an opportunity like this, especially, you know, obviously there's so much left to be played in this game, but to get enough out of your pitching staff, what was the goal from them coming into today?
Yeah, I mean, really, you're trying to piece this thing together the best you can. I mean, Johnny, we really had Johnny scheduled to go 2 times through the order, and he just didn't feel like he could do that. And so here we are right now. I mean, really right now, it's really turned into a bullpen game, right? And I mean, it's a bullpen game that you just played a doubleheader on Friday. You got to score some runs in this game.
Coach, thanks so much. Appreciate your time.
Okay, appreciate it, guys.
There he goes, Tim Tadlock, head coach for Texas Tech. How about Ridge Erickson a solo blast, his 4th of the year, ties this game at 5, hitting under the 200 mark, entering the tournament, and he just made a statement as an unlikely hero.
He's able to turn on a baseball as well, just a hanger over the middle of the plate. As you heard from Coach, you're going to need to score some runs in this midweek game.
This one's fouled back. Erickson, let's take a look at the blast as we were talking to Coach in the middle of it.
Hanging breaking ball, goes below the knees again, golfs this thing out of there. This is his 4th home run of the season. And, from their backstop, get some runs to pick up the pitching staff and tie this ball game.
Yeah, that one a little bit different than the Logan Hughes homer that we saw from Texas Tech to the opposite side of the field. This one got out in a hurry. Didn't have a ton of launch angle on it. However, it does clear the wall into the the BYU bullpen out and straightaway left. So after Texas Tech put up a 5 spot in the 3rd, their lead is no longer. McChesney caught looking for strike 3. There's 2 down in the inning.
And he gets a call with a nice sinker off on that black on the outside corner of the plate. This is good pitching too, to be able to set him up. It went all hard stuff, went in, went out, and just then started peppering that outside corner to freeze him.
So now Luke Anderson up, 2 down in the inning. Nice rebound by Addison. And he delivers a strike to begin the at-bat with Anderson. Singled in his last at-bat. It was originally called an error. It was a backhanded ground ball down the 3rd baseline. Garcia had to make a long throw. Villeneuve nearly made the pick on a hop, but with everything being considered, they changed it from an error to a base hit. So neither team with an error still here through the first 4 innings of play. 5 runs on 6 hits for Texas Tech. 5 runs on 8 hits for BYU. Here's Anderson. And a nice breaking ball works in for a strike.
He's so comfortable with that slider.
Can throw it in any situation. Might see it again here on the 1-2. Works to the chest high set. Addison does go back to it, but runs it outside.
I think if you've thrown 2 of those like that, and you might say, oh, that's not competitive, that doesn't set anything up. It does get a hitter start to leaning over the plate. So fastball inside can lock a guy up. But can you command it, though? That's the most important part.
Just misses low. Quintanar behind the plate with a solid frame. The count does go full.
I'm not sure I'd throw a fastball on the outer edge, though, because now he's looking that way. Consecutive sliders out there. The fastball out there as well. Got to either go slider away again or inside with the hard stuff.
Time called behind the dish. Christopher Griffith just before Addison worked into his pitch. Quintanar not happy. Looks like the Texas Tech dugout didn't like it either. And Trent Pratt also
I think they
having
wanted
a conversation.
They wanted a pitch clock violation there, but this is good catching, because on a pitch run like this in a freshly tied ball game, you want to be on the same page, because you have your heart of the order coming up in the top of the 5th inning. If you can get through this frame tied, and you don't want a free runner on in front of Ezra McNaughton on deck. He trusts the slider the most. Clearly his best offering. I think he got to throw that away.
See where he goes on the 3-2 pitch. And he does leave it up. It's hit well deep in the left center field. That one carrying, that one off the wall. A stand-up, two-out double for Luke Anderson. His second hit of the day. And BYU keeps the inning rolling.
Yeah, he went to that slider. He just didn't put this pinpoint control on it. It hangs up over the middle of the plate. Goes right off the inside corner, and that goes right into the swing path of a right-handed hitter. All he had to do was meet that thing with the timing. You could see he was geared up for the fastball on the inside corner there. The slider able to time up that barrel. Now runner in scoring position with Ezra McNaughton at the plate.
You mentioned the middle of the Texas Tech order due up. This is a dangerous part of the Cougars order themselves. Over the next three hitters, McNaughton, Robinson, and Jones, only one hitter has been retired. Combined 4 for 5 with a double from Robinson, a 2-run triple from Easton Jones. McNaughton has reached twice. Might reach again here, but it does hook its way foul. About 2 feet to the right of the chalk line down the right field side.
And what moving him down in the order to the 3 spot does, it gives him more opportunities like this to hit with runners on base. Every single game before the last 6, now 7th game in a row, he had been hitting in the 2-hole, and he still put up those big-time numbers, but he's hitting almost 500 and on base almost 600 and higher since being in the 3-hole.
Pick back to second, back safely is Anderson. All set up on a timing play as Ryan works to the bag. Addison now above 40 pitches on the outing after replacing Lowe to begin the 3rd inning. Go-ahead run in scoring position for BYU. McNaughton turns on it. Right field, if it's fair, it's gone. It is way out of here. Ezra McNaughton puts BYU on top again.
Another slider that is just hung. This is a power hitter's dream. To hit in a ballpark like this, with the wind like this, and then you get the hanging pitch. The 16th home run of the year. BYU is stormed back. Despite allowing 5 runs in the top of that 3rd, they've scored 6 to answer the last 2 frames, and he knew that right away. Just, I don't need that bat anymore. I'm gonna run the bases.
He honestly didn't look happy off the bat. Thought maybe it had a chance to go foul. Not the case. Squarely in fair ground. 2nd homer of the inning for BYU. It started with Ridge Erickson, and now it's Ezra McNaughton, who we highlighted in the open. The BYU bats coming alive in Surprise, Arizona. They're back on top as the Cougars lead at 7-5. Three runs in the 3rd for BYU. Another 3 here in the 4th as they take a 7-5 advantage. Texas Tech back to the bullpen as Tim Tadlock brings on the junior out of Longwood, Florida, and the USF transfer, Logan Beavis, 1-1 on the year. 5.72 ERA. This is appearance number 21 one of the more used arms out of the Red Raider bullpen this year.
And you saw BYU earlier in the season as well. 1 appearance, 2 innings. He allowed 3 runs on 2 hits, one of those being a home run. And again, his job, we heard from his head coach, is find a way to get outs, find a way to limit damage. That's something BYU has done against the last couple of pitchers over this last really inning and 2/3.
And Beavis working his way onto the mound for the first time in the Big 12 tournament. Did go an inning against Cincinnati last week. Gave up 4 earned runs in an inning against the Bearcats on 5 hits allowed. Enters with the bases empty following an Ezra McNaughton 2-run bomb. Both teams combining for 1 run through the first 2 innings. And now 11 runs through the 3rd and the 4th. Possibly on our way to a high-scoring affair between the Red Raiders and the Cougars. 18th all-time meeting between these two programs. Texas Tech leads the all-time series 11-6. The home team has won the last 3 series between the two, but of course this is a neutral site matchup. It's kind of ironic. The first meeting between these two teams was back in a neutral site in Phoenix, just down the road here from Surprise, back in 1998. Pop fly into center. Thompson is there, and that'll do it for BYU here in the 4th. But a couple of long balls. Erickson started at first with a solo blast, followed by Ezra McNaughton, his 14th of the year. Trent Pratt looking for a first-round win in the Big 12 tournament for the 2nd year in a row. Defeated Arizona State in the opening game of last year's tournament. Now trying to do the same against Texas Tech. They have a 2-run lead. But as we talked about earlier, even with 7 runs on the board, it still might not be enough with how well this Texas Tech team can swing the bats.
Yeah, this game to open up the tournament much different than the game last year to open up at Globe Life a year ago. That thing was a pitcher's duel all the way deep, just a 2-0 BYU win. They scored 2 runs late in that game, and this time we got 12 runs before we reached the 5th inning, not even halfway through.
We made the mention when Texas Tech put up the 5 runs in the 3rd that 5 runs was probably not going to win this game, and that has already shown to be the case. Might not be the case for 7 already on the board. It's 3-4-5, Schaus, Hughes, and Garcia. Another dangerous part of the Red Raider lineup. Schaus 0 for 2 with a fly out and a ground out to begin his tournament play. Swings and offers up here. Count moves to 1-2. Schaus, one of the top 2-way players in the Big 12. Named to the first team earlier this morning. Softly hit ground ball, fielded by Anderson, 1 out.
I mentioned that changeup and how it's likely the best and most consistent offering from the left-hander, and this one's a good foot off the plate, and you still get his swing like that. He's been able to find a way to now retire 5 straight batters. That's the longest stretch of any BYU pitcher so far. Starting to find that cruise control. Now he'll see Hughes left on left.
Yeah, the lefty v lefty matchup. Hughes, of course, last time up, put one above the berm and straight away right field. A no doubt shot. Number 18 on his campaign. First of the postseason, of course. After he worked a walk back in the first inning, one of the more powerful left-handed bats in college baseball. And he rips this one foul as well. Let's take a look at that no doubt homer back in the third.
As majestic a blast as you can find. And then the celebration to boot. Always got to salute the bullpen rounding either first base or second base these days.
Especially when you hit it above the bullpen. They didn't even have a chance to catch it.
And one aspect that we haven't gotten into yet, but playing at this time of day in Arizona, starting to get away from it now as it gets closer to 7 o'clock local time. But playing right field from 4 o'clock to 6:30 is nearly impossible. You're just staring directly into the sun. And anything on the right side as well makes it hard too.
This one just outside on the 3-2 pitch. Reiser did not like it at all. Thought it was strike 3, was ready to celebrate as such, but Hughes works his second walk of the day. What did you think here, Alex?
Yeah, this is a good call. It's about an inch off the plate. Christopher Griffith, the home plate umpire, sees it out. It was a slider that crossed the dish, but had the height for it to be a strike, but just did miss away.
So now it's the freshman Lincoln Garcia, 0 for 2 with a fly out and a ground out. Breaking ball takes it the opposite direction. Into the alley it goes. Anderson back. That one hits the base of the wall as well. Garcia on to second, rounding third. Headed to the plate is Hughes. He stands up. And Texas Tech cuts the BYU lead in half with an RBI double.
This is probably a double anyway, but the part of this play that guarantees Hughes' ability to score from first base is the awkward carom off the wall. It's really interesting. Anytime you play at a new ballpark, you have to learn how the ball bounces off the wall. And in a structure like this, in a tournament where all of your pregame work happens on a backfield, you don't get that time to judge caroms off the wall. How hard is it going to come off of a pad? What angle is it going to come off? Is it going to die on the warning track and sit at the base of the wall? All of those aspects as an outfielder just are variables that you have to deal with in a new place, and that allows Texas Tech to pull within a run.
That's a great point. Neither team taking batting practice or practice at all for that matter this week on the actual playing surfaces. This one's ripped foul down the first base line. Ferraro got a good piece of it, but he's down 0-2. Of course, this is the spring training home for Kansas City and for Texas, and each franchise of the major league level has a bevy of fields that sit behind home plate and behind the stands here of Surprise Stadium. And that is where each team is practicing and spending their pregame activities this week. Like you said, neither team with an outfield opportunity to see how the ball plays, and that was one where Herdsman just had no chance to react the correct way.
You can think you're all square, and all right, it's going to pop right to me, and all of a sudden it takes an obtuse angle and squirts by you.
Ferraro hanging in there, 1 for 1 with a single and a run scored. Tying run at second base, 1 out in the inning. Ferraro and Quintanar, who have both notched a base hit today. Quinton was an RBI double back in the third. He's on deck. Really seen Reiser battle throughout this relief appearance. Blade Paraga's got the ball first. Just his third appearance of the year after dealing with some injuries, both as a true freshman and a redshirt freshman. And now you go to Reiser, who seemingly had found his rhythm, but full count pitch worked into a ball. Then the double by the freshman in Garcia. Pop fly in the infield. Anderson has to step back a little bit, but there's two down.
Confidence from the left-hander Reiser to see it get some weak contact off the bat again. Now a guy in right-handed hitting catcher that has been a bugaboo for BYU this season. Of course, he had his RBI double earlier, but he homered twice in their series a couple of weeks ago. Had 5 hits in that series, 3 for extra bases.
Now a quickly hit ground ball handled by Robinson, and the inning comes to a close. Lincoln Garcia plates another for Texas Tech. His RBI double has it as a 1-run game halfway through this one in Surprise. BYU with a 1-run lead. Easton Jones, Branker Hertzman, and Matt Hansen 5, 6, and 7 in the BYU lineup due to begin the home half of the 5th inning. Beautiful Surprise, Arizona. Mid-80s. Nice breeze. First game of 11 on the weekend to decide a Big 12 champion. Conference with all sorts of depth, top to bottom. And this tournament wide open for anybody to take it. Logan Beavis on for the 5th inning of work. He notched a put out on a fly ball to Ryder Robinson in the 4th inning. Now his second batter faced is Easton Jones, who had a 2-run triple in the 3rd that hit off the top of the wall and straight away to left. Could have been a homer, but kept in fair play, kept in the field of play, I should say. And because of that, it ended up with just 2 runs across. He would later come across the score himself. Now he skies this one deep into left center field. Back goes Thompson. Thompson at the wall. He's looking up, and this one is no doubt over the wall. Easton Jones says, I'm going to make sure this one clears it entirely. And he has his 13th of the year.
I can guarantee you his teammates told him to hit the weight room after his last ball off the top of the wall. He must have gotten a couple pumps in before this plate appearance. This one well over 400 feet out of the ballpark, and look, the power that comes from the legs, fighting through that baseball on the swing. A berm ball that BYU continues to barrage in this ball game.
Jones now with the two toughest legs of the cycle out of the way. Triple in the third and a homer in the fifth. BYU with the bats. We talked about it earlier. If there was one element of the Cougar lineup that will translate to the postseason, it's the fact that they were in the top half of the Big 12 in terms of doubles, triples, and homers. Fourth in doubles, sixth in both triples and homers. So top half of the league. Average may not be there. They were 10th at a 283 clip. The on-base percentage was next to last at just a 368 mark, but they can hit the ball squarely and find the barrel.
Yeah, home runs and slugging is the great equalizer. It's really interesting how the numbers have gone towards, especially at the big league level. You look at who has success in postseasons, it's who hits the most home runs. And it kind of creates an interesting product of baseball where it's strikeout, walk, and homer like we've seen over the last 10 years. But it can win you ball games come big moments and get you out of jams like we saw it earlier with BYU down by 4. Now all of a sudden you look up, handful of homers later, and they're up 2.
BYU with 1 in the second, 3 in the third, 3 more in the fourth, and now 1 across already with the solo blast here in the 5th inning. Matt Hansen up 0 for 2 on the day. One of 2 hitters in the BYU order that has not registered a hit so far. 11 total by BYU in the game. It's both Hansen and McChesney, the leadoff man, are the only 2 that have not notched a hit. Beavis, tall, lanky right-hander. Kicks and deals the 0-2, misses high above the letters. Beavis listed at 6'6", 225 pounds, out of Florida. Beavis, who made his Texas Tech debut as a sophomore after transferring from the University of South Florida in Tampa. Won an inning and 2/3 in his debut in February of last year, and notched a pretty good season out of the bullpen for Coach Tadlock.
It's a really good spot for that pitch. I mean, maybe hairline's low and out. That shows how good of a take it is, too.
We'll see if he goes back to it. Fouled away by Hansen.
At this level, and again, especially with depth arms and bullpen guys, the stuff is there. It's the consistent command that just runs you into the home run ball, like we've seen, where, okay, I can fillet 2 pitches just like that in the outside corner, but then I miss fat over the plate and it goes over the wall.
This one saws him off on the hands. It's a 1-hopper to short. Playable by Ryan, 2 down in the inning.
I mean, that at bat shows you where the stuff is from Beavis, because he was able on back-to-back pitches to pinpoint a changeup low and away, nearly dot the bottom and outside corner of the zone. Doesn't get the call. It shouldn't have. It was a ball. And then he goes with a fastball in the exact same location. That creates pitch tunneling. That creates the swing and miss and gets the hitter in between on the swing mode. And then you can miss fat slightly over the plate and get a ground ball like that.
Now we have a pinch hitter in the lineup. Keone Painter steps in following the ground out to Hansen. Painter hitting in the spot of Tualau Wolfgram, who had the RBI double back in the 2nd inning to begin the scoring. Painter, player that has hit in some sporadic moments throughout the year, Hawaii native. .224 hitter with a couple homers and 9 RBIs in the regular season with his first postseason at bat for BYU this year. Takes outside, 2 balls and a strike.
I think that homer got Beavis dialed. I'm really enjoying the way he's sequencing left-handed hitters, I should say.
Sometimes that's what it takes.
Yeah.
A bit of a wake-up call. Even this one inside, fouled away, but that was a good pitch again. Placement has been spot on.
I mean, he's just hitting the extremities of the strike zone. And when your stuff doesn't play in the middle of the zone or over the heart of the plate, that's where you have to live. It does make you more fine. But if you can hit those spots consistently, that's where you get the big numbers.
Hard hit ball back up the middle. It seeds its way into center. Pinch hit single for Painter keeps the inning rolling for BYU. Ridge Erickson will step in with 2 down.
And where was that pitch? Center cut, right down the middle. Sets up Ridge Erickson from the catcher's spot. He hit a home run. This one got in toward that BYU bullpen. That blast set the tone in that 4th and ultimately led to another 2-run homer later in that inning and gave them the lead. Game tying blast off his bat.
That was while we were in the middle of a conversation with Tim Tadline. So Erickson deserving a little bit of love on the broadcast after the solo homer. Hitting just 189 in the regular season. Comes in and makes his mark in his second AB of the postseason. That's one way to keep your spot in the lineup. Takes a strike here. Two-run lead from BYU. Bottom of the 5th. 1 on, 2 outs. Remember, Texas Tech took 2 of 3 against the Cougars out in Lubbock just a couple of weeks ago. And we asked Coach Pratt about that pregame. Does that change anything just because they've seen each other so recently? He said, not really. It's mostly about trying to silence the bats. And the BYU pitching staff has done a pretty good job of that outside of the 5-run 3rd. Only 1 run outside of it. And the bats have backed them up in the home half of the innings as they've struck for at least a run in each of the last 4 frames. Erickson took off on that last pitch, but the foul ball puts him back at first. 1-2 to Erickson. Beavis deals. I feel like I'm waiting on Alex to say if that was a good miss or not. Kind of feels like it was a good miss.
Yeah, too far outside and low. He tried for that pinpoint control, but he's tripled up on that cutter to get him to 2 strikes. And I feel like he's got to come with something else.
Got him swinging. Erickson down on strikes. The inning comes to a close. BYU extends their lead with a leadoff solo blast from Easton Jones. Trent Pratt's team, the 2-run advantage through 5.
Being on a path trying to go to the Olympics, your life revolves around your training and making yourself better. The KRT Athletic Muscle Cream definitely makes me more confident and makes me want to go further. I started using their cream and my hamstring issues started going away. And so I use it before training, I use it after training. I am religious about this stuff. I want to be an Olympian, but I don't just want to go to the Olympics, I want to win a medal.
Hell of a good.
Seriously? No hell of a good dip?
Whoa, creamy. A double dip. Where's Jill?
Hell of a good.
It's not a party without hell of a good.
Hell of a good.
Hello?
We truly are a different league.
They have done it. A top 4 seed in the college football playoff. The Horned Frogs leap their way to the College Cup. Bear down. Omaha bound. Take cover. Can you believe it? Put that on the highlight reel. National champions.
You're watching the 2026 Big 12 Baseball Tournament presented by Allstate. Surprise, Arizona playing host to this year's tournament for the first time ever. Big 12 Baseball Championships make their way out of the Red River states of Texas and Oklahoma. Of course, this event was held in the Bricktown Ballpark for years, then moved to, at that point in time, it was Ameriquest Field in Arlington, home to the Texas Rangers for a couple of sporadic seasons. Went back to Oklahoma City, and then over the last few campaigns, it was out at Globe Life Field. Current home to the Texas Rangers from 2022 through 2025, and now the first time here in Surprise. Big swing and a miss. Alongside Alex Coyle, I'm Kyle Yeomans, and Alex, I'm biased in the fact that I love this ballpark. I love the facilities here in Surprise. But the weather has also cooperated, making this just a perfect scenario for Big 12 baseball.
Yeah, usually this time of year, you might be expecting some triple-digit heat, even as high as 110. You had that a couple of weeks ago here in Phoenix, but look, high of 88 today, some cloud coverage, great breeze, and it's going to be no higher than 95 throughout the rest of this tournament, too. So you cannot ask for better. You know you're not going to get a big-time threat of rain here in the Valley outside of monsoon season. And look, it's a perfect setting for this tournament.
Hard hit ball ricochets off of the right side of the pitcher's mound and into center field. Robinson, who was playing out of the middle of the infield, had no chance to get to it, and it's a leadoff single for Robin Villeneuve. Villeneuve was 0 for 2 with a couple of strikeouts and ripped that one for a base knock. Justin Reiser on the mound for BYU has been doing exactly what Coach Pratt hoped he would, and that's work into a long relief role after Blade Paragas was touched up a bit in the third inning. Reiser's done a nice job of limiting the damage. Gave up a couple of base hits to begin the outing, but then outside of that, it was just the RBI double from Lincoln Garcia in the 5th inning. There you look at his pitches by inning total so far. He's really done a nice job of keeping that total low. Coleman Ryan at the plate, 1 for 2 with a single and a run score. And it's back to the top of the Texas Tech order for the 4th time through.
Yeah, I think when they get there, they might see a new guy, a right-hander, starting to toss in that BYU bullpen. And look, to get what they've gotten out of Reiser, this has to make Trent Pratt so happy to see, but it also adds to the options that you can play more matchups if you have more bullpen arms available in the later innings.
Especially in a tournament like this where, no, it's not double elimination, so you don't stretch your pitching staffs as far, but you only get one shot at it. And a big inning can really spell trouble for tournament hopes in a tournament format like this.
You've seen each team stomach a big inning already in this game, but a big inning, a crooked number in the 8th, is a lot different than a 3 or 5 run 3rd inning like we've seen from each side.
You have a feeling that they're not necessarily done with those innings quite yet either. Might see a couple more big innings by the time this one comes to a close, just knowing the tendencies and the powers of each of these lineups. One more game to follow this one today, Utah and Kansas State. The number 10 and number 11 seeds in this year's tournament. High Fastball swung on and missed. And that retires Coleman Ryan for out number 1.
Something we haven't seen a ton today from Texas Tech. Just the third BYU Cougar pitching K. And the first guy sent down other than the man at first. There's a good challenge to elevated hard stuff there. Get that swing and miss.
So now it's back to Kyler Thompson. 4th at-bat of the day. 1 for 2 to start. A couple of flyouts. Excuse me, a ground out and a flyout. He had the double with a run scored back in the 3rd. One of the early extra base hits for Texas Tech. Both teams have peppered the wall here at Surprise Stadium a couple times. BYU's just said, enough with the wall, we're going to hit it over. But Texas Tech's hit a couple off of the base of the wall and in the alleyway. 2 teams that can hit it gap to gap, no doubt about it. Well outside, opposite batter's box for Thompson. Thompson, the everyday center fielder for this Red Raider bunch. 14 doubles on the year. That was his 15th in the 3rd inning. He fouls us straight back into the signage. Texas Tech, who finished 9th in the Big 12 last year, had 13 wins in conference play a season ago. Actually, that knocked off the signage behind home plate. Get a couple of officials over to take a look at it.
Hey, we've got 10 more games. We got to have our stuff hold up, and there's one big swing from Thompson. He's going to have to go over there and look at it too, because look, you can't be breaking things on day 1.
Yeah, is it? What did parents used to say? You break it, you buy it.
That's right.
I don't think anybody wants to spend any NIL money on possible signage like that, right? This looks like a quick fix, though. And everybody gets a nice clap for the officials.
I like Christopher Griffith, the home plate umpire, getting over there to observe, too.
Got to make sure everything is tip-top shape here. He's got the mask back on and ready to call balls and strikes. It's a 1-2 count to Thompson. Another one misses outside by Reiser. It's Austin Park who's up and throwing, the freshman in the bullpen for BYU. He would be the 3rd Cougars arm that has graced the mound here in Surprise. Opposite field into the wide open right side of the hole. From first on to 3rd, diving in head first is Villeneuve. Runner in scoring position now on to 3rd base for Texas Tech, and the tying run is on.
Yeah, got the ground ball he wanted, but unfortunately with the shift, there's nobody there. And look for Kyler Thompson representing the tying run to be on the move here. Texas Tech, not a team that runs a ton, but he did. 26 stolen bases in 32 attempts on the year.
Yeah, Tech has a squad, 63 stolen bases, which is 7th in the Big 12. Right on that middle portion of the stat category, but they've only been caught 12 times. They've really used it in sporadic senses and been very efficient in running, being aggressive on the base paths. Of course, Thompson was a big part of that, like you said, with the numbers that he's brought to the table, and that's exactly why Reiser wants to keep him honest over at first. Yeah, more than 1/3 of the stolen bases on the Texas Tech regular season belonged to Thompson. They'll do it again.
Yeah, Texas Tech not liking that move. But the best move is always the one that toes the line. An old 45-degree angle, and especially for lefties.
Now this one through the hole, past the diving glove of McNaughton and into right. Second hit of the day for Tracer Lopez. On to 3rd goes Thompson. RBI single for Lopez. Now has the tying run 90 feet away.
And this has a chance to get really, really interesting for BYU, because now you have to face that power surge in the Texas Tech lineup. The next two guys knocking on the door of 70-plus RBIs each with double-digit homers, and a tying run 90 feet away, although it looks like Thompson is a little kind of working on that left foot / ankle area, walking behind the third base back, kind of twisting and turning it a little bit. For your speed guy at the top of the order and center fielder, you want to make sure that his wheels are all good.
Yeah, he looked like when he took the big turnaround second, maybe trotted his way into third a little limp. But he looks to be okay, and this one's going to get away either way. All the way to the camera well it goes, and we are tied at 8. It hits off the glove of Erickson, who's about as solid of a defensive catcher as you'll see in the Big 12. And it gets away entirely. The run scores.
Man, that's just tough, because you're thinking about a bunch of stuff and then you don't even make them earn it.
Now the go-ahead run is at second. And here comes Trent Pratt. So after all this, 16 combined runs, both teams with double-digit hits. Nothing decided so far in Surprise, Arizona. Game 1 is a high-scoring affair. It's BYU 8, Texas Tech 8. Cougars going to the bullpen. New pitcher when we come back. BYU turns to the right-hander. It's Austin Park out of the bullpen as Justice Reiser's day comes to a close. Reiser did a nice job of limiting the damage early, but now Park is tabbed with keeping this game tied.
Yeah, he's got a really good action on his fastball, high 3/4 arm slot from that right side. Slurvy curveball as well, and so he's really effective against right-handed hitters. That made it interesting, of course, with the string of 3 consecutive righties to start this Texas Tech lineup. They go to him in the middle of an at-bat against Schaus with the lefty Hughes looming on deck, and just a spot where you got to find a way to get us out of this, tied at 8.
The freshman out of Utah has really kind of been a middle to back end bullpen guy for the Cougars throughout the year. 18 appearances now on the season. It's only gone 27 2/3. Most of the time it's in sporadic action, but he's really benefited from the strikeout. How about 36 strikeouts in 27 innings of action? He's walked a total of 18 batters as well, with a 2-to-1 strikeout to walk ratio. Enters with 1 out and a runner in scoring position. Tie ball game here in the 6th inning.
Facing Schaus, who's got to be hungry. Only guy that hasn't reached safely for Texas Tech so far.
A fly out in the first and a couple of ground outs in each of his last 2 at-bats. Offers up at the first pitch from Park for strike 1. 8 runs on 10 hits for Texas Tech. 8 runs on 12 hits for BYU. Either team with an error so far in this one. Breaking ball has Schaus spinning in circles, nothing in two.
Here's that big curveball right on right. As advertised. I think with a ton of movement and downward action, a negative 13-degree angle of approach. It's the angle it's coming in that the batter has to meet. That's gross.
Oh, man. Big time strikeout from Park, and that's exactly why you've seen those numbers inflate now. 37 strikeouts in 28 innings of work.
Look at how much downward action this thing has. It's not one that necessarily floats up there. It's just tumbling right when it gets out of the hand. And even if he takes that, that's probably strike 3 at the knees.
That brings up Logan Hughes. A couple of walks and a 2-run homer in the 3rd inning. 400+ feet to straightaway right field on top of the berm at the base of the flags. It's actually the flags now blowing out to right field at about 10 miles per hour. Bit of a shift from what we saw pregame where it was blowing out to left initially. Now straight out to right where he was able to hit the homer earlier.
It'd be interesting to see when the sun goes down. It tends to slow that wind down quite a bit. How that'll affect things as this game goes on, and then game number 2 as well. Still whipping though.
This one in the dirt, and there's Erickson blocking it up in front. Nicely done to keep the runner at second base. This is
smart.
Yeah, they're going to put him on. I was about to say this is a power v power matchup. Talk about what we've seen already from Park and up against Hughes, but might as well put him on and put the force at any base.
Yeah, you can pitch to him until you've fallen behind, and you don't want to be in a spot against a guy like that where you have to come in the zone. First base is open, 2 outs in the inning, and you trust the right-on-right matchup as well. That's why you brought him in.
So now it's the freshman Lincoln Garcia. He had an RBI double off the base of the wall in the 5th. Has a chance to put Texas Tech back on top for the first time since it was 5-4. Park with a quick look to second. Swing and a miss from Garcia.
Slider then fastball, and hasn't even shown him that breaking pitch yet.
It's been really impressive from the moment he stepped on the bump. And he gets the swing and a miss. Austin Park out of the pen with a fist pump, bringing the inning to a close. However, Texas Tech does tie the ball game up at 8 with a wild pitch and an RBI single from Tracer Lopez. Through 5.5 in this one, 8-8. There's a look at the Baylor Bears, led by head coach Mitch Thompson. They are the 8th seed in this year's tournament. They'll take on the winner of this game tomorrow afternoon, 4:30 Mountain Standard Time. So they will kick off the second day of this event. It's BYU and Texas Tech to kick off the event. All tied at 8. We've been treated to a good one. Both teams, the power bats working. BYU most notably with 3 long balls already on the day. And of course, nothing decided between the two as Logan Beavis continues to work. Bottom of the 6th inning. BYU at the top of the order. Starting by McChesney, who is 0 for 3 on the day. Make it 0 for 4. Foul tip straight into the glove of Quintanar. Retires him on strikes, 1 down.
Yeah, good pitch sequencing here. This just starts from pitch 1. He decides to pitch him backwards with a changeup and consecutive fastballs. Able to get this one high enough just to miss the round part of the bat for McChesney, and on 2 for the out. It's now 3 strikeouts of his last 4 outs. It's good work.
It's been the most effective out of the Texas Tech bullpen today. Did give up the solo homer to Easton Jones in the 5th inning, the leadoff man of the frame, but since then has retired 4 of 5. And the only base hit was a single to Keone Painter. That will end that streak, though. Into right center field for the base knock as Luke Anderson continues his day, his 3rd hit of the day. He scored each of the first 2 times he's found his way aboard.
Yeah, he's trying to fight his way to get the average above 300 on the season with 3 hits and 4 plate appearances. Came in hitting .284, and he's looked really, really good. Stroke to all field so far. A double to left center field, that base hit to right center, and another base runner on in front of Ezra McNaughton, who made Texas Tech pay his last time.
McNaughton with the 2-run homer in the 4th inning, number 16 of his campaign, has reached safely each time. How about McNaughton, Robinson, and Jones? The next 3 hitters for BYU have been really a murderer's row of sorts. 1, 2, 3. Each have had a extra base hit. Had the 2-run homer from McNaughton, a double and an RBI from Robinson, and then Easton Jones has a triple and a homer to his total. He's in the hole currently. Chopper sent foul. Count goes to 1 and 2. He highlighted Ezra McNaughton in the open. 2nd team All Big 12 honoree. Beavis deals. Chopper to the left side. No chance for a Red Raider to find it. A seeing eye single. Back-to-back base hits for BYU. Have 2 men on.
That's just a kick in the gut for any pitcher. You execute perfectly. You turn your head, ground ball, I'm going to get out of this inning, and nobody's there. It's a good piece of hitting, though, just to serve that thing the other way. McNaughton on 4 times, and BYU has done a great job of answering. They've answered every single time Texas Tech has scored a run. Of course, that's pretty easy to do when you score in 4 of the 5 innings so far.
It's really been, and I credit you to saying this a couple times, it hasn't been just a couple of base hits strung together. These have been barreled up baseballs from both sides really throughout the early portions of this game, and it's continued into the middle innings.
I think the way Beavis has pitched since giving up that home run, an opportunity to you know, continue to live on the edges and get a soft ground ball at one of your middle infielders and get out of this thing.
1-1 to Robertson. Robertson, who had the single in the first, an RBI double in the third inning, where he flew out. He was the first batter that Beavis faced. Robinson hitting that .316 mark. An RBI opportunity here. Chops it foul. On the year hitting .364 with runners in scoring position. How about the timely hitting too from BYU today? 4 for 8 with runners in scoring position. 500 mark, not too shabby. 2-2 to Robinson. Just misses outside. Not bad placement that time either by Beavis.
Expanded the zone to try to continue to have him in swing mode after the foul ball on the slider. Feeling like Beavis is getting closer to the end of his line, and so he's starting to toss the kitchen sink out there.
Pitch number 42 of his day is into left field. It falls for a base hit. Throw is to the plate in the air, but it's not in time. Anderson scores from second. BYU retakes the lead.
Now this one kind of jammed him a little bit, able to soft serve it into left, and out a string of 3 consecutive knocks against the right-hander Beavis. Again, to find a way to pull the hands in and a pitch riding in on him. Went with that slider, and again he missed over the fat part of the plate and gives up the tie game.
You mentioned how Beavis was coming to the end of his total. That will do it for the tall right-hander. He was effective out of the bullpen for the Red Raiders, but leaves a couple men on and leaves with a 1-run deficit. 9-8, high scoring affair between the Cougars and Red Raiders. New pitcher on for Texas Tech when we come back. New pitcher out of the bullpen is the right-hander. Jacob Rogers, a senior from Friendswood, Texas, has been used as a late inning arm out of the pen for Tim Tadlock this season, making his 19th appearance. He's got some electrifying stuff, Alex, and he's finally healthy after battling some injuries over the years. He's been really good for Texas Tech in 3 of his last 4 outings. Yeah, he has, and you see some inflated numbers, including in and outing against BYU when he allowed 3 runs on 2 hits. But as you get healthier and healthier, and you get more confident in not only your stuff but your body, those results start to come as well. And he's looking to find a way to roll a ground ball and get out of this jam. Runners at first and second, and a 1-run BYU advantage, just 1 down in the frame. Mentioned how he's been good out of the 3 of the last 4 outings. That 1 outing that I left out was against BYU, and so he'll have a chance at redemption here. But in talking to the Texas Tech staff during practice yesterday, they feel confident that he could be a guy that could eat up a couple of innings here if need be. Went scoreless over 2 1/3 against Cincinnati back on May 15th, right at the beginning of the month. Had 1 run allowed on just 1 hit against DBU, Dallas Baptist, on May 5th. And he came in Tough situation, a one-run ball game against Baylor. Only was tabbed with getting an out, but he was able to record the out on 3 pitches. Got out of a jam, and Texas Tech ultimately would fall in that game, but he kept the game close at that point in time. This is outside to begin his first batter faced of the day, and it's Easton Jones, who's had a 2-run triple and a solo homer in the ball game. And the middle of the order continues to produce, by the way, for BYU. How about a single from McNaughton, another one from Ryder Robinson. He's now had a 3-hit day himself. Jones trying to add to that list as well.
This group on 9 times in 11 plate appearances so far in this game. 8 of them hits, the other walk.
And that doesn't even tally up the 4 extra base hits out of this.
Right.
It's been impressive stuff from the BYU bats in this one. 15 hits. Chance for more here. 3-0. Takes a called strike.
The number one thing that can drive a coach crazy when dealing with the bullpen, you bring in a guy and he immediately goes 3 balls.
Misses outside, ball 4. The bases are loaded for Bryker Hertzman.
You can live with the occasional walk from a starting pitcher, but there's no wiggle room out of the bullpen, especially if you're going to find a way to be trusted to come on with runners on. That only makes the problem that much worse. In front of Bryker Hertzman, who's already hit an extra base knock so far in this game, can really pad this BYU lead higher than we've seen it so far in this game with another ball to a gap.
Hertzman just 1 for 9 with the bases loaded this season. Hitting .279 on the year, 27 RBIs. As you mentioned, though, he had the double in the 2nd inning, but has struck out twice since then. Chopper foul to the 3rd base side, 0-2. Bill Neff, the first baseman, is in front of the baseline for Texas Tech. Rest of the infield playing at double play depth. This would be a big out for Rogers as he works to the belt tie set. And misses high, tried to get a chase.
Some of the highest velocity we've seen from a Texas Tech pitcher so far. He's right around 95 with the fastball. Good idea there to go up with that with 2 strikes.
That goes low, but in the dirt. Has some wiggle room here, as you mentioned. No reason to get one over the plate for Hertzman.
It's classic pitching with 2 strikes. You go high with the fastball, low with off speed, and not even a thought to offer at it from Hertzman.
2-2 on its way. Hard hit ball right side and into right field for a base hit. 1 run across. The throw in will not be there. 2 runs scored for BYU, who are into double figures, and they increase their lead here in the 1st round.
And this fastball is above and outside of the strike zone, and Hertzman with 2 strikes expands the zone and is able to get a barrel on it. An absolute screaming ground ball with nobody there in the shift. Great jump from second base and scoring from Ryder Robinson. And BYU continues to pour it on. Now they can grab their largest lead if they are able to bring home Easton Jones from 3rd base.
Matt Hansen, the lone bat remaining for BYU that has not notched a single or found his way on in this matchup. Starting to get to the point where he's the only bat that hasn't had multiple hits. Excuse me, it's him and McChesney that have not found their way on. But either way, in the middle of the order with an opportunity at hand, runners at the corners, and still just 1 out. 3 runs across already in the inning. This one low, but Quintanar keeps it in front. Hansen, 255 hitter overall, 244 with runners in scoring position. Good take high to make the count 3-1.
Texas Tech needs a ground ball in the worst way right here.
It's been a very different production from BYU here in the inning. 4 hits, all singles. And then the walk mixed in between.
Yeah.
It's different than the extra base hit variety that we had seen earlier in the innings.
Deep right here. Come on, Matt.
Keone Painter is on deck, who singled in a pinch hit scenario his last time up. Rogers steps up. Off the handle, fly ball into left. Hughes charges forward and a bluff from third base. That one not nearly deep enough to try and score the run on a sacrifice fly. A big second out for Jacob Rogers.
Yeah, smart decision just to bluff that one, because that was a fantastic throw in from Hughes. One hop right into the cutoff man and would have 2-hopped perfectly to a catcher awaiting the throw. Already matched with 3 here. Keep the pressure on, force Texas Tech to get you out of the inning. Painter, who already has a base hit off the bench, at the plate.
BYU trying to at least put a dozen on the board by the end of the frame. First pitch outside to Painter. Was the replacement for Tualau Wolfgram, who had an RBI double. That was first run of the tournament. It feels like an eternity ago. 18 runs since then. And yeah, we're only in the 6th inning of this one. 2-0 drops low.
The Utes have arrived at the ballpark on the second level on the third base side, watching their rival BYU.
There's a look at Utah. Kansas State's on the opposite side above the first base dugout, up in the sweet action here at Surprise Stadium. Fans of each of those programs might have to prepare to stay up late a little bit. Utah, not as much. Kansas State in Manhattan, that's in the Central Time Zone. So this one's hit well. Painter sends it into the alleyway, right center field. Carrying off the wall. Thompson gave chase. This ball's still out at center field. They'll hold Painter at third. Couple more runs across as BYU and the Bats have exploded in Surprise.
It's their second triple of the ball game. Just missed a home run in the deepest part of the ballpark. A fastball set on the tee. He absolutely destroys that. His legs do the rest. Massive collision from Thompson at the wall. There have been some great efforts by center fielders, just unable to get there. Watch him bang right into that sign in right center field, and then Morrow has to hustle, get on his horse to prevent an inside the park home run.
How about that from Painter? Did not start the game. comes in and delivers a pinch hit single in the 5th inning, then turns around and puts up a 2-run triple to put BYU up by 5. Talked about it earlier in the open of the broadcast. We said we anticipated some runs. Still don't know if I was expecting 21 and counting, as BYU has put up a 5 spot. And now maybe more. Hit well. Erickson looking to leave the yard again, and he does. Rich Erickson, his 2nd of the day. And it's a 15 spot on the board for BYU.
Well, the early portions of this inning was jam shot flair for base hit. Seeing guy single with nobody there in the shift. But the last 2 sounds off bats have been piercing. Painter for the triple off the wall in deep part of the ballpark in right center. And that majestic swing of the bat to a BYU fan on the burn.
That was some hustle to get over there, too. Hard hit ground ball. Lopez is there, and the inning is over. BYU strikes for 7 runs. They lead it by 7.
Old Trapper Beefs. Pack smash.
My peanut butter and jelly.
Ew.
Oh no. Yeah, I guess my ham and cheese didn't make it.
Old Trapper, what's your beef?
Now that's a great view.
Yep.
Join me as I take a deep dive into the least insulted ticketing app in history, SeatGeek. Did SeatGeek invent the ticket?
No, but we do make them work.
Drum roll, please. Ooh, how do I use the Seat View feature?
It shows seats with a pole blocking the view. Don't buy those.
What if I want to sit behind a pole?
Buy those.
Join me as I bore you to death with a series of interviews about a ticketing app that just does what it's supposed to do.
We truly are a different league.
They have done it. A top 4 seed in the college football playoff. The Horned Frogs leap their way to the College Cup. Bear down. Omaha bound. Take cover. Can you believe it? Put that in the highlight reel. National champions.
BYU bats, they've shown up the entire game, but especially in that 6th. How about 7 runs to retake the lead? It started with a barrage of singles. This kind of flaring one in, going the opposite way. It was good approach from BYU. And then the barrels game starts with this triple off the wall from Painter, and then the massive home run from Rich Erickson, his 2nd home run of the game. BYU now has hit 5 in the 4 in this ball game. They continue to spray the ball all around the ballpark and have a big lead to boot.
Yeah, first pitch of the top half of the 7th. Cater Ferraro pops it into foul ground as Easton Jones works over and makes the play. One retired, and what BYU is trying to find is a shutdown inning themselves. They haven't had one since the 4th inning. Despite scoring in 6 of the 7 at-bats that they've had in the game. You talked about the 4 homers. How about 10 extra base hits out of 18 total? BYU just has had every answer possible for Texas Tech pitching in this matchup, and we've still got 3 innings left to play.
And now we'll see if they decide to ride Park all the way through. They can do that, or make sure that he stays at 20 pitches or less and do that down the line to cover the last 9 outs of this ball game. 8 now after you get the first out of the 7th, and save guys for availability for what they hope to be a game tomorrow.
Park has looked impressive so far. Struck out a couple of Red Raiders in the 6th inning. Only runner that has reached safely, or only batter that has reached safely, was an intentional walk issued to Logan Hughes. That one just misses inside to Quintanar. BYU starting with Blade Paragas, followed with Justice Kaiser, and then Austin Park issues a walk here. That's one thing you can't necessarily avoid, or can't necessarily afford at different times in the game, because Texas Tech still very dangerous at the plate themselves. You want to continue to see the free bags avoided across the board.
Yeah, you got to make them earn it. You got to make them put bat on ball and run into some good luck too.
There's a called strike. Now, one won't hurt you, just the one here to Quintanar, but can't start stringing together free passes to the bottom half of the Red Raider lineup.
So the 6 issued by BYU.
Has to go along with 10 hits for Texas Tech. It's hard to believe this was a tie ball game just a couple of minutes ago. Both teams have really gone back and forth. Pitching staffs have been stretched all the way to this point, but it's that big 7-run 6th inning that has taken the air out of the game for a little bit, but it doesn't take very long for Texas Tech to respond.
You have to find a way to put together a nice drive after the old touchdown.
Now you're speaking my language.
There it is.
Joey McGuire would love that reference. Here's the 1-2 to Vilnet. Long pause from Park. Just misses outside. BYU faithful in attendance wanted a strike 3 call.
Yeah, this one is close. Maybe just off that plate, but that is a great spot.
It's been a top-notch officiated game across the board, and that one was no doubt. Even Villeneuve knew it. Took a step to the dugout as he's caught looking. 3rd strikeout victim for Austin Park, 2 down in the inning.
No controversy here. This one's right at the swoosh of the catcher's chest protector.
So that brings up Coleman Ryan. Ryan in the 9 spot, and it's back to the top for Texas Tech. Takes a called strike to begin, but as I was saying, I really think so far the 4 gentlemen on the field wearing the umpiring uniforms have done a nice job. Griffith behind the plate has been steady. Breaking ball in the dirt, stopped by Erickson. Ryan hitting 198 on the year now after his single in the 3rd inning, and then a ground out and a strikeout. Squared the bunt, but pulls back outside.
He's just not getting that outside corner. That's another one that he'd want.
Two one, high fly ball, underneath it a little bit, into left center. In comes McChesney, and the inning is over. There's the shutdown frame that BYU has been looking for out of the bullpen. They lead it by 7, thanks to a 7-run 6th, trying to add to their lead following the 7th inning stretch. It's the freshman right-hander out of Colorado, Adam Hayes. As he is on for Texas Tech. Big right-hander, 6'5", 235. He looks the part on the hill. Numbers aren't necessarily where he wanted in his debut campaign with the Red Raiders, and he'll be faced with the 2, 3, and 4 spots in the BYU order to start.
A handful of starts for him on this season, including one against BYU. He went 3 innings and allowed 5 runs on 8 hits. 3 home runs against this Cougar lineup, a group that is looking for 3 runs to get that to that run rule spot, and they'll face a tough part of the order, 2, 3, and 4, and guys that have done a ton of damage so far. Just 2 outs on the lines through 12 plate appearances for the next 3 in the order.
Bottom of the 7th, following the 7th inning stretch. 7 has been the lucky number for BYU here in this matchup. After this was all tied at 8, and it was 7 runs in the 6th. That has built their lead, and then they turn around and have an easy scoreless inning in the top half of the frame. It's Anderson, McNaughton, Robinson. Each of those 3 hitters have notched 3 hit days. So if there's a part of the lineup that you want up when you need 3 more runs, it would be these guys.
And then the guy 2 up after them, Easton Jones, also on 3 times and has brought in 3 runs with a triple and a homer.
If you're Texas Tech, it just becomes more and more crucial to put up a 0. Because if anybody can strike for 7 over the next 2 at-bats, it's probably this Texas Tech lineup themselves. Never out of a game. That's what Tim Tadlock told us yesterday. Feels like this squad really battles even when things aren't going their way. They'll never quite quit. BYU has been so efficient at the plate, they're trying to avoid any sort of resemblance of a comeback. There's the start of the 7th as Anderson works a 5-pitch walk.
And while there's been a ton of free pass on the opposite side, it's just a 3rd walk issued by Texas Tech pitching.
So here's McNaughton. Had the 2-run blast in the 4th inning. One of 10 extra base hits for BYU in the game. Part of this 2, 3, 4 spot in the order that's combined 9 for 11 with 3 extra base hits themselves. This ball nearly gets away from Quintanar, but he keeps it close. Hayes struggling with the command early out of the pen. Again, low and inside.
And Texas Tech immediately is going to get the bullpen hot. Right-hander will start to toss.
Yeah, look at the 7 pitches there. 6 have been balls. Some of them not even really close here.
He's just pulling the fastball.
You talked about it earlier, these relief pitchers, no matter which side they're on, you can't necessarily afford the base on balls, the possible walks, and the free passes that we've seen so far from Texas Tech have really played a factor. Check swing. I'll say he went around as McNaughton gives one back. BYU team that doubled their conference win total from 2 seasons ago, and from 7 in 2024 to 14 this season. Chops this foul right above Tim Tadlock. They've shown today that if their bats can stay hot, this is a team that won finished the regular season with a walk-off win against the regular season champion Kansas Jayhawks. In a series that was really close all the way throughout. 9-6, Kansas won game 1. 7-6, Kansas won game 2. And BYU won game 3 in 11 innings. Lofted fly ball into center. In comes Thompson for the first down. First time McNaughton has been retired in this one. But BYU, despite being the 9 seed, the final team, or the first team I should say, that does not get a bye from the first round, has shown that they could possibly work their way into contention. They had a chance for the bye. All they needed was a Baylor loss on the final day of the regular season. They would have been the 8th seed playing the winner of this game instead.
That sets up, you know, if BYU is able to get the final 6 out to this ball game, to a really fun matchup tomorrow in that 4:30 local time game. Baylor, a team that is so gritty and so fun to watch. They feel like they really enjoy their pitching staff. Just need some offensive support to do it. And then on the back end, that staff pitching against this great Cougars offense that has scored 15 runs on 18 hits in this game.
0-2. That one just inside. Baylor, team that started Big 12 play on a hot streak, faced a tough schedule down the stretch, but were able to win some series late to give them the bye, including a series their last time out against Utah. Took the rubber match of that game. Pop fly that direction as Robinson continues to battle. Baylor head coach Mitch Thompson told me earlier in the year that 15 wins was the goal in conference play. Felt like that would get you into a good spot in the tournament, get you into the NCAA postseason as well. Just missed that mark by 1 game. Robinson into center field, tracking, back to the wall, leaping up is Thompson, can't make the grab. It lands on the warning track. Scoring from first base easily is Anderson, and it's another triple for BYU.
A 3-triple game from an offense is just unprecedented, and Thompson took the worst of that collision with the wall. Anytime you go back first into something like that, it can really jar your body. He just missed a home run. Another great swing from Ryder Robinson. Home run shy now. And that run roll run is at the plate, and Easton Jones, who's homered in this game.
Homered to left center. Nearly had a 2-run or 2-homer game himself as he hit the very top of the wall with a triple himself back in the 3rd inning. So if he were to do the same, this game might be over with. 16 runs on a total of 19 hits. This one into right field. That might do it. Back to the wall. It is gone. BYU punches their ticket to the 2nd round in surprise.
Just an emphatic exclamation point on this ball game. The story of the game was the extra base prowess of BYU, fitting for it to end on a home run to the opposite field. Hanging slider, and they dogpile him at the plate. Cougars are moving on and playing some real good baseball. They were down 4 in this game.
Yes, they were. That feels like
ages ago.
An entirely different ball game ago, as Texas Tech will see their season come to a close here in 2026. A tough one to take for Tim Tadlock in company, but BYU, it was the bats that did it. Listen to the sound of that one. Off the bat, 2nd of the day for Easton Jones. He almost had 3 homers. Finishes with 2 and a triple. BYU put up 20 hits in this game. 12 of them were extra base hits.
Just an unbelievable tone to set on a Big 12 tournament. And Trent Pratt's group does it again. They win the opener of the Big 12 tournament in consecutive years. And I think the message right there was to his group, all right, now we got to forget about what just happened. We got to get ready for Baylor and find a way to bring the same energy immediately to the ballpark as they get ready to slap their logo to the next round of this Big 12 tournament presented by Allstate.
Yeah, Baylor took 2 of 3 in Waco back in April against BYU. So the Cougars looking for a bit of get back and a chance to take on the regular season champion Kansas Jayhawks on Thursday. They'll play tomorrow, 4:30 Mountain Standard Time, as they do punch their ticket. And it's Easton Jones that will move BYU on to the second round. And it's Baylor and BYU tomorrow. Then TCU awaits the winner of our next game, Utah and Kansas State, coming up here at right at 8 o'clock, I would assume. Right on time, it seems. Central time, or excuse me, local time, I should say. Should be a fun one as Utah and Kansas State battle it out for their spot in the second round. It was the Texas Tech Bats early, but the BYU Bats stayed true. 18 runs on the board, thanks to 12 extra base hits. For Alex Coyle and our entire ESPN crew, I'm Kyle Yeoman saying so long from Surprise, Arizona. We'll see you for Game 2 between Utah and Kansas State coming up in about 30 minutes.